Now, there was not one other thing. There was a few performances. I mean, I didn't see all of them. I'm not gonna lie. The only ones that I saw outside of the one I'm going to talk about in a second was the one For God Did. But there was one other performance that it was good. It was good, and the thought was there, the idea was there, and sometimes I feel like, yes, you can get away with that, but also, can we do more? And that comes from Questlove, who I guess was like, I don't know how exactly, but they were like, hey, the Grammy committee went up to him and was like, hey, it'd be really dope is if you could do the hip hop tribute, because hip hop turns 50 this year. It actually turns 50 in August, so a couple months early, but fuck it, why not? The Grammys are a big awards show. Everyone cares about the Grammys. No one ever said fuck the Grammys. And it's, known for supporting black music and, just never capitalizing on it. So, why not just do this? Yeah, Mr. Grammy, you're great. It's not like, you straight up said, no, we're not allowing hip hop in the Grammys like way back in the day. And then also just keep promoting music that isn't like that is basically black music. But anyways, Questlove did this and it was a great thing. I really appreciated that he did this. Originally he had said that this I guess medley was going to be closer to 20 to 30 minutes long. But then, some of his business partners, I forgot exactly who, I know LL Cool J was one of them. He worked with a few people. They're all hip hop heads. He mentioned it in a, I guess like post Grammys interview with Entertainment. It was, it was a bunch of people kind of all on the same page. And the whole purpose of it was, to bring in just the sound of all 50 years of hip hop so far. Each year has been, well, as it's been progressing, it's changed. And we started out from, in this medley, we had Grandmaster Flash. And then I think he said he wanted to go all the way to Future. Clearly, that's a lot of songs to do. So, understandably, they had to cut it down. But also, why didn't they just do the whole thing? Aside from it just being too long, apparently the costs would be too much. But also, it's the Grammys. They could do it. They could afford to do that. People are going to be watching regardless, and they spend so much money on other bullshit anyway. The other thing was that, as expected, not everyone's going to be able to make it, and then some people are just very against the Grammys, so they're not even going to be there. We see right here that Will Smith couldn't make it because he was recording Bad Boys. Totally understandable. That's way more important than the Grammys. And then we had Lil Wayne and Future drop out last minute, which didn't really make much sense because Lil Wayne was there for the God Did performance. And that's why I'm getting a little confused as to when that was done, because if it was done the same day, it's like, why? Why'd you do that? Anyways, aside from that, the overall performance was good. It's very hard to find online. I did find it on Twitter. It is a 13-minute video. We're not going to watch it during the recording because, copyright and that whole thing. But we will definitely watch it afterwards. But for me, the overall performance was fine. It was really the pacing to me that was kind of off to me. So, we started out with the early days. We started out with 80s. I think right after Grandmaster Flash, we had Run DMC. Actually, it opened with Black Thought, which I thought was dope. Black Thought's getting way more attention and recognition just in general. So I'm happy for him for that. And actually, I think on this it does say, yeah, I don't know why I was just kind of go off the top. It says it says who performed in which order. But as you can kind of look at this, we have, early stuff, 90s, like late 80s, 90s, and then keep going. We got 90s. We got that wasn't I guess that, yeah, he did perform AT Aliens, but that threw me off too, because it's like, okay, why you couldn't convince Andre 3000 to show up? And actually, I really liked when Method Man was performing, because it just panned over to Jay-Z and he's like rapping along with it. So I thought that was kind of cute. But we got that, and then we got Blow the Whistle. It started to lose momentum for me when it got to Busta Rhymes, to be completely honest. And that's only because he started to do his verse from Look at Me Now, which it's a good verse, but it's so out of place when you have all these like early days of hip hop sounds, and then you're like, go stupid fast. Yeah, so that kind of threw me off. They started bringing it back with Missy and Nelly, and then we had the Locks, which was fine. I appreciate that the Locks came out, but then Lil Baby also just kind of threw it off. And part of me thinks that maybe in between here, that's where, like, maybe like right over here, somewhere here, we would have had Lil Wayne, and then right after the Locks, we may have had Future. Even that doesn't really make sense. Like, you're going from the Locks to Lil Baby. That's like a good 10-year jump, at least. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, the order makes sense for the most part. It's just, and like it flowed really well. It's just there's a few spots where it's like, okay, cool. And then having Glorilla after or before Uzi kind of threw me off too. But bringing it all back. Now, on one hand, like, yes, I appreciate that they did this. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to do anything for hip hop turning 50, because they haven't done anything in the past, and they never really thought about doing anything in the past, because why would we want to promote this music even though it's getting everyone a lot of money and we're profiting off of it? We shouldn't give them any sort of recognition, because fuck hip hop. But here it's like it's weird, right? Like, are they no, I was gonna say the committee has changed, and there are different people on it. I know, like, they've really tried a lot harder to get a more balanced committee, but still, it's like, it's still so, it feels weird. It feels wrong almost for them to like want to do this. Like, it feels like they're doing this because they have to, almost. And because it feels like they're doing what they have to, or they're doing this because they have to, like, that's why I feel like, oh, maybe they just cut it so short and it's like so out of, like, all over the place because of that. I don't think that's necessarily true, but that's kind of my thought looking from the outside. Aside from that, we also didn't get as much representation across the board as some people would have liked. And I kind of feel the same way to some extent, because if you look at it, like, it's pretty East Coast heavy, like, okay, the only, like, we have Scarface, so we got Texas, we have Big Boy, so we have Atlanta. Then Nelly's in there just kind of throw things off. We got the Bay Area with Too Short, but it's like, there's not a whole lot of West Coast. There's not really anything from the South, which, would have, I guess we have Lil Baby and Glorilla, but that seems a little weird. And then obviously no Lil Wayne, which, now that I understand that he wasn't, or he was supposed to be there and he couldn't, or he like dropped out, that's more understandable. But it's like, those are pretty big parts of hip hop, I feel, and it just feels like That's weird. There's also no Detroit. I just realized, which Eminem also is not really a big fan of the Grammys, so it's not surprising. But you couldn't have got well. I was gonna say you couldn't have gotten Royce, but Royce is just Eminem's best friend. Yeah, let's just say that. um, but there's. It almost feels like there's other. Yeah, there's no Tigris. Like there's other things that they could have added in, and it really does feel like they focused a lot on the beginning part of it, which again, totally fine. That's kind of where hip hop started. So they're like, here, let's at least get you some of the early stuff and like kind of do more of a history lesson, I guess. But I don't know. It just felt off. LL Cool J did say that like before the performance even started, he's like, hey, we we know that we don't have everyone here, so it's okay. But then Mr. Harvey Mason Jr., the chief executive of the Recording Academy, said that a full 2 hour celebration of hip hop hosted by the Grammys was being planned for August. Now, I don't like that it says was, because that makes it sound like they're not going to do it now, but I'm still hopeful. If they actually do it, that's going to be crazy, and it's going to be full of just everything, and I think that's dope.